You're still watching the Happy Business Morning. Welcome to Global Business, where we'll take a look at business news stories around the continent of Africa and indeed the rest of the world. My name is Ubong Kings. Here are the headlines making the rounds. We're starting off in Africa, where it's reported that Meta has taken down 63,000 Nigerian accounts. And away from that, still in Africa, to illicit banknotes from Russia hits Libya's dinar. And outside Africa, from the world of automobile, Aston Martin raises production despite losses. We'll bring you details of these stories and more right after this break. Please stay. You're watching Global Business right here on the Happy Business Morning, and we begin from Nigeria, where it's reported that Meta, the parent company of WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram, has announced the removal of about 63,000 accounts in Nigeria involved in financial, sexual extortion scams, predominantly targeting adult men in the United States. It said these assets were found offering to sell scripts and guides to use when scamming people, and sharing links to collections of photos to use when populating fake accounts. Although the investigation showed that the majority of the scammers' attempts were unsuccessful, mostly targeting adults, there were also attempts against minors, which Meta reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in the United States. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Competition and Consumer Protection Watchdog recently imposed a $220 million fine on Meta platforms for violating data privacy laws. Let's look at some case in point. This particular case in point. What is the fact that Nigerians have been fingered as the one nationality with the highest criminality index in terms of cyber crimes? Now, this has been buttressed by this recent removal of about 63,000 accounts in Nigeria. Yet, all the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission could do was to fine Meta the sum of $220 million for violating data privacy laws. Yes, that may sound like the right thing to do, but I have quite a number of questions. Number one question is, what now happens to the stained image, for lack of a better expression, the bastardized image of Nigeria in the international community on account of these scammers? What's being done about that? Is there a plan? Number two thing would be, is there a plan to bring these persons to book, as the federal government is on one hand, on the other hand, is embarking on the mass trial of terrorism suspects? Is there a plan to bring these persons to book? Now, number three, what is the actionable plan to reduce these vices? I say this critically because this is a function of no jobs. It's a function of a bleak economy. It's a function of terrible policies. And what are there job opportunities are being created? Are there business loans and grants that are being put in place for persons, young people, to get access to? And are these things accessible? I just think that there is this is a fundamental issue. Okay, because yes, you may want to sue Meta for infringing on data privacy and all of that, but that's not the crux of the matter. The crux of the matter is, how well have you governed, so to speak, and made your economy viable enough to help young people not to go into vices of this nature? This one that they're talking about is just the one they could find. How about the other ones that are not being found? But then again, we could just keep our fingers crossed, and we hope to see how all of this pans out eventually, because this is giving a bad name to the country. Plus the fact that already the international community is looking at Nigeria as people who are not serious with business, who are taking cognizance of the fact of the rift between the NNPCL and of course Dangote Refinery, and all the drama ensuing from that. This one too? Oh well. We're moving on to other business news stories, and this time around still from the continent of Africa, but outside Nigeria. Unofficial Libyan banknotes some printed by Russia and others illicitly produced within Libya, have been exchanged for real dollars, contributing to the devaluation of the dinar. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Libya issued a statement earlier this year identifying 4 kinds of 50 dinar notes: those official printed for the central bank, those printed in the past by Gosmack for the Eastern CBL branch under Hibri, and 2 new issuances that it labeled counterfeit. Now, the CBL, however, announced in April that it had begun withdrawing the first and second print of 50 dinar banknotes from circulation after officials discovered counterfeit prints. Although the unofficial banknotes have reportedly been used to fund infrastructure projects in the east following last year's devastating floods, the diplomatic source also noted that some of this money may be used to finance Russian mercenary operations in Libya and in the Sahel. Now let's look at something. What if I told you that this said issue that I just read, this story I just read, this issue has been on the front burner for about 4 years? Because 4 years ago, it was highlighted in a report by Al Jazeera. And let's take a look at this report. When we come back, we'll put pieces together and look at it. Please stay.
More than $1 billion worth of new Libyan banknotes found in 2 shipping containers a couple of months ago were yet another sign of Russia's influence in Libya. The cash stash found on the Mediterranean island of Malta was en route from the printing works in Moscow to Khalifa Haftar's forces in eastern Libya. The U.S. government welcomed the seizure, saying the alternative dinar notes were counterfeit Libyan currency printed by a Russian state-owned company and ordered by an illegitimate parallel entity. It's 4 years since the parallel central bank in eastern Libya, controlled by Haftar, began printing billions of its dinars in Russia. They look and feel almost exactly like the official currency from Libya's internationally recognized central bank in Tripoli. They've been circulated in most cities across western Libya, except Misrata, known as Libya's economic hub. Haftar is accused of using the banknotes to fund his failed military campaign to capture Tripoli.
We saw the head of the Eastern Central Bank say that the priority is to fund the war on Tripoli. These counterfeit notes were used to pay fighters and, of course, inflation and the value of the Libyan dinar to decrease.
Business owners and residents say while their sons are fighting on the front lines, they can play their part in the fight against Haftar by boycotting the banknotes.
These notes are counterfeit. The recognized central bank in Tripoli has refused them, so business people in Misrata refuse to accept it.
Haftar used this money to destroy our capital. Refusing to deal with it is how we as businessmen are participating in the fight against him.
Russian support is being seen as further escalating the Libyan crisis, creating parallel institutions to the central bank and National Oil Corporation. More than $1 billion worth
and just as that story suggests, these unofficial banknotes have reportedly been used to do quite a number of things. One was infrastructure projects in the east of Libya, following last year's devastating floods. But there's also an allegation of this same monies being used to fund mercenaries and the activities of mercenaries in Libya, thereby increasing the onslaught of terror-related activities in the country. And this is clearly a recurring decimal, but hopefully it's resolved soonest. We'll take a break, and you're still watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning on Afia TV. Kindly join in on this conversation and any other conversation you deem fit on our new Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly tap in the search bar www.youtube.com/@Afia Business, and while you're there, do well to hit the like button and subscribe for notifications and all business related content coming to you from Afia TV. Up next will be more business news stories from the automobile world and of course the rest of the world. Stay tuned. The Global Business will be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Afia Business Morning right here on Afia TV, and you're still watching Global Business. Now to the rest of our stories. We're moving on to business stories from the automobile world. It was reported that Gaydan-based luxury car giant Aston Martin saw losses mount in its first half of the year, when there was an 8.3% rise in shares, despite revealing a 50% widening of losses to £217 million. Despite that, the company says it will increase production in the second half of 2024. The car maker's revenue saw an 11% decline in the first half of 2024, and the brand reported generating an income of £677.4 million in 2023, which fell to £603.0 million in the first half of 2024. However, investment analyst Dan Cosworth stated that investors were able to look past news of lower sales and higher losses as the company reiterated its second-half guidance. The company says it remains on track for a substantial uplift in production in the remainder of 2024. It is also delivering product innovation with new modules proving to be well received. You know, there's a particular paragraph in this particular story that tickles my fancy, which happens to be the last one, which specifically states that the company, Aston Martin, is delivering product innovation with new modules, which are proving to be well received. Question I want to ask you, did you just say new modules, right? It may interest you to know, however, by way of research, that these new modules will still be fossil fuel powered. Aston Martin, as 2 months ago, recorded losses at the introduction of a new trim of its luxury vehicles, and yet again, they are announcing losses and anticipating growth also at the same time, simultaneously. What does this mean? Now, does this mean a shift to more sustainable vehicle modules or outright exit of the auto industry? We don't know. Only time will tell. Eventually, we'll get to find out. And in an attempt to end this bulletin, let's bring it to report that the U.S. Olympic Committee has filed a lawsuit in the District of Colorado against influencer Logan Paul, claiming he's using trademark phrases for promoting his Prime brand. The trademark infringement was first spotted through Prime's partnership with NBA star Kevin Durant, describing the drink as the Team USA Kevin Durant drink and Kevin Durant Olympic Prime drink. However, several of Prime's social media posts used in the lawsuit as evidence were removed from their social media pages on Sunday, while the product is also said to have been removed from the company's website. The committee is now achieving all profits associated with the sale of the infringed products, which is said to be in the millions. Let's hold up for a moment or two, and for the sake of context too, it may be interesting to know that about 2 years ago, there was a report on the Prime drink issues, with the brand being accused of enticing minors with the advertisement, although they stated that the drink was not targeted at minors, but that's exactly what happens. Now, let's look at this particular session that was called from an interview with CNN. Let's check it out. When we come back, we'll delve into this issue a little deeper. Please stay.
This morning, a popular energy drink is under scrutiny. Prime is the beverage brand founded by YouTube stars Logan Paul and KSI. Prime Energy is especially popular with kids, even though there is a warning label that says it is not recommended for anyone under age 18. Senator Chuck Schumer is now calling on the FDA to investigate the drink over its high caffeine and the way it markets itself.
A lot of parents may never heard of it, but their kids have, because Prime is engaged in a vast advertising campaign aimed at kids, even though kids aren't supposed to drink a drink with this much caffeine.
Yeah, so this drink has about 200 milligrams of caffeine in a 12-ounce can. And to try to put that into some context, that's about 2 bottles of Red Bull. Those are smaller bottles, about 8.4 ounces in a Red Bull can, or about 6 cans of Coke. So that's in one of these cans. And according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, really kids shouldn't have any caffeine. Some pediatricians say for kids who are, 12 and older, maybe up to 100 milligrams per day. That's a soda or 2. For adults, the FDA usually says about 400 milligrams per day generally doesn't affect people. But for kids, the warnings are, this can affect their sleep. It can cause dehydration, higher blood pressure, anxiety.
Now, this is the case of infringing on possibly Olympic and other sports trademarks. But then there's also the other dimension to this particular story, which was clearly shared on that video you just saw now, the place of health-related concerns, especially with reference to kids. We will bring you up to speed on these issues as they unfold. You may want to get to our new Afia Business YouTube channel and be part of this conversation. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/@AfriaBusiness. And while you're there, do hit on the like button and subscribe for notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. Coming next will be a review of quite a number of conversations we have had during the week right here on the Eastern Business Report on the Afia Business Morning. The Afia Business Morning, we'll be right back. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned.